then he took the shamas and set my hair on fire.
At first we had so much in common. We both loved politics and 60s music and sleeping with guys.
With that, my younger son shouted, "You're not my brother anymore!"
I see the tears in his eyes and I sense the tears behind my own.
Can you forgive us, Liz? Do you think you could ever forgive us?
Who knew that endorphin-induced shoe shopping could prevent murder?